Hello, Iona College. Welcome back to the Relay for Life edition of the Sports Vault. Like I was saying earlier, this is a great cause, the Relay for Life. Go out down there and support it. We're in here broadcasting from 4 to 4 a.m. I mean, that is commitment right there. Pete Considori, our current president, and Ken Reichman, I believe, are doing the last show at 4 until 4 a.m. We're going to have shows all throughout the day, so keep it locked at WICR and the Sports Vault. We're kicking it off. So we're rolling along. We just talked a little bit of basketball, and now we're going to talk a little bit of baseball. Yankees getting a big win today. Winning 7-2 against the Boston Reds, 7-4, I'm sorry, against the Boston Red Sox. And Brian McCann, man, we were looking for his bat, and his bat was off today. 2 home runs. He was just unbelievable today. Hiroki Kuroda, I mean, he's pitched. I've been very impressed with how he's pitched so far.
Yeah, a lot of people towards the end of the year last year, Joe, thought he lost it come September, and they're like, oh, you don't know maybe if he'll still have it. This guy still has it. He's a workhorse, Joe, who will give you 6 to 7 innings. And Brian McCann, this is just special for him, Joe. We've seen how many shots has he hit this season already. I mean, they're always getting out, but today 2 homers, and that just has to be like the happiest day for him at Yankee Stadium, just getting that done with.
What do you think of like the young guys? You've got like young Garvis, Solarte, you've got Anna, and I mean I think they've looked pretty good so far.
I think this is amazing, especially Solarte, because he wasn't supposed to. He had a chance he wasn't going to make this roster, Joe. You know, taking over Nunez, and just for what he's done at third base, he's just a great fulfillment, something that they needed, especially since Kelly Johnson had to go from third to first base. And I'm really surprised, especially for a young guy coming up right away, for having such a really hot start like this. Guy who's had no MLB experience. This is just a hot start for him, and I think he's going to be great. I think we might have found our third baseman for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it a little bit on the show we had yesterday, and I was saying, I mean, I just love the energy Solarte plays with. The young kid, I mean, every play, defensively, offensively, you just could tell how much he enjoys playing the game of baseball, how much energy he brings to the game. I really like this kid, and I'm rooting for him because he looks like he could be a nice player. And then you look at a guy like Alfonso Soriano, who's a veteran. He's played a long time, but he's still swinging the bat. I mean, had a home run last night in the loss, had a home run again today. And look, I mean, if the Yanks can get stuff out of guys like Soriano still, and their pitching holds up and it stays consistent the way we've seen it so far, they're in for a nice year, I think. I mean, overall, if you can get stuff out of those guys.
Yeah, most definitely, especially Soriano. Joe, Soriano has a powerful bat, and you know what? He doesn't have those fielding skills really that anymore. He's more of a designated hitter now, but Soriano still has that power that we once saw. Especially other guys in this lineup, Ellsbury, Beltran, and McCann. We got lefty batters, Joe, and that right porch, you know they're going to be taking it deep a lot this year. I expect 40 home runs out of Beltran and at least 35 out of McCann, and at least, I would say, 25 to 30 from Ellsbury.
See, here's the thing. I agree with you definitely on McCann. I think McCann is made for this kind of ballpark. I think maybe, I don't know, Beltran, I love Beltran. The only thing I'm worried about with him is, I mean, age is definitely, I mean, he's an older player now, but, I mean, do you think that's too high of an expectation for him, 40 home runs?
Not really, because he's more of a guy who pulls it all the time towards right field a lot, so not really. I mean, I could drop a little bit. I could go a little bit lower, maybe 35 home runs.
Yeah, I think
you know what?
fair.
Age does kick in, and 35 home runs could be what we see out of him. But, I mean, with that short right field porch, him and McCann should be taking it deep a lot this year.
Definitely. I mean, and now that I think of it, when you think of a guy like Adam Dunn, I mean, all Adam Dunn really did the last 2 years is hit home runs. I mean, and he's pretty old too, so the power still stays with them. So I'm pulling for them. The next thing to kind of go over is CC Sabathia. Obviously, last night they lost, so it's a great thing that the Yankees got the win today because after last night, tough loss, they lost 4-2. And I thought overall CC pitched a really good game, but obviously until the 6th inning, where Johnny Gomes and Grady Sizemore hit home runs. But CC had 9 strikeouts, and there's been some people who've been kind of concerned about CC. I think CC always gets off to a rough start. It seems like when the weather is kind of in between hot and cold, once the weather kind of settles down and you've got that summer heat, I think CC kind of thrives in that weather. And overall, I wouldn't be too worried about it. But Rob, what's your take on CC so far?
Here's the thing that worries me a little bit about him, Joe. I watched the game before this one that he pitched, and the reporter said he hadn't hit a batter in his last 12 starts. So the main thing I got out of that is Sabathia really isn't throwing inside anymore, Joe. And that's one thing he has to start doing because, as we see, Joe, when he throws it over the plate, people are hitting him hard and they are taking him deep. And since he doesn't have that velocity anymore, he doesn't have that 95-mile-per-hour fastball that we once saw. He's a guy he'll hit 90 miles per hour maybe 15 times a game out of his 100 pitches. So he has to be a guy who's going to throw more breaking balls, more changeups. He has to change the way his style is because the fastball has totally lost it. But he has to be more of that inside pitcher because he needs to not give it easy hits to these batters.
Definitely. I mean, I think that's a spot on assessment of him right there. And I mean, like I said before, I'd wait a couple weeks. We're still very early into the season. CC definitely usually gets into his groove when he moves along a little bit. The next thing is tomorrow's game. Obviously, the Yanks got off to a good start other than the loss last night, but you have Ivan Nova who's going to take the mound tomorrow, and Nova's the only question mark I have with the bullpen so far. I'm not really worried about CC. I've really liked what I've seen out of Kuroda. I think Tanaka's showed a pretty good performance in his first two games, and Pineda's looked very good as well. I think Nova is the only question mark. So far an 8.6 ERA, 1-1, but I am a little worried about Nova. But like I said, if you have four of the guys who are pitching like that, and Nova's the only guy that is a little bit iffy, I think that bears pretty well for the Yankees.
Yeah, definitely. Nova, here's the thing, Joe. Nova's really streaky. Here's the problem. He always starts off bad at the start of the year, and he usually finishes off really hot come August and September where nobody could really hit him. So I'm not really that nervous. I think Nova's going to have a pretty decent year. I really wish Tanaka was pitching, though, tomorrow because that whole spring training, the AL East did not see Tanaka whatsoever. And the Red Sox, I think they'd be a little frightened seeing him pitch against them for the first time.
Definitely. I mean, when you see his splitter is just unbelievable. I mean, my only complaint with him is he takes so long in between pitches, but I mean, man, his pitches are really good.
Yeah, that splitter, Joe, just looks like a straight fastball coming at you and then just drops, literally drops as soon as it comes right to you. Amazing pitcher. You know, everybody's complaining, oh, he gets up in the first 3 innings. But look at him after those innings, and he just destroys people. He sets down batter after batter, and I think this guy's going to be a really big part of their rotation over the next couple of years.
Definitely. I mean, when you got a pitch like that you can rely on time and time again, it's just there's nothing better than it. And we keep on talking about the pitching because the pitching, it was just the major question mark. Before the season, we were just like, man, after CC and then Kuroda, what do you have? And then they got Pineda, and then they got Tanaka. So the Yankees, I really like what's happening with their rotation, and hopefully that'll be able to hold up. But enough with the Yankees. We've got to talk a little bit of Mets too. Obviously, last night, tough loss for the Mets. Angels won the game 5-4 in 11 innings. There was fan interference with Curtis Granderson, and my take on that is, I mean, it's just what are fans thinking? I mean, interfering with a player. I mean, just what are you thinking?
I don't know what goes through some of these guys' heads. Like, I know it's an exciting event. You have that guy right next to you, but show some respect.
Absolutely.
These people are players. They're not, oh, I could touch him. He's my friend. He's not your friend. He's out there to play the game. And, I mean, the guy did apologize yesterday, though, to Granderson. But Granderson said, don't touch me. All you have to do is don't touch me. And that's one thing. Catch a fly ball, catch a home run, catch a foul ball. Do not touch players because you know what? It's really irritating. Bad enough fan interference is annoying. I really dislike it when you have that one guy who runs on the field and he just starts running across the field and then the cops have to take him out because it just delays games and it really gets to the players' heads, especially when you run up to a player, you say something to them. And some of these fans, as you said, Joe, you really just have no idea what they are thinking in these situations.
I mean, it's fun. It's like the game of baseball isn't long enough. You got to get a knucklehead running on the field and making the game take another 10 minutes. So, but on that, Mark, of the Mets so far this season, what have you thought of the whole Mets? I mean, what have you seen so far?
pretty decent. The bullpen is the only problem.
That is the big problem.
Yesterday, the guy who came in pitched 2 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 3 walks, Joe, and an earned run. Had the bases loaded last night and hits the batter to walk in the winning run. We've seen so many problems, Joe, with this bullpen. I think Jose Valverde, they had to go to him more. Valverde is the guy who's going to lead this rotation, especially with Bobby Parnell going down with that serious injury. I mean, overall, though, the Mets, Eric Young Jr. has really impressed me. The last game versus the Braves had 3 stolen bases. I think he went 3 for 5. He's a great outfielder, a great addition to their team. David Wright's hitting the ball. Daniel Murphy, we all know after his season last year, he's going to keep hitting the baseball. Juan Lugares, Curtis Granderson though really hasn't been hitting that much, Joe. I think he had a 138 batting average going into yesterday with one home run and 3 RBIs. And the thing is, Granderson is a power hitter, Joe. He has to somehow try to get back to that Curtis Granderson we once saw in Detroit, who was that leadoff hitter, not that power guy. Because, I mean, striking out and not getting hits, that's his big issue right now.
I mean, yeah, I loved Curtis was my favorite player on the Yankees. I just loved his attitude and his way he attacked the game. But you're completely right. I mean, when he came to the Yankees, he was a power guy all the way. I mean, the strikeouts were just the major problem for Curtis. Even the season where he hit 40 home runs, where he kind of set himself apart, he had a 279 average, and the problem was strikeouts. The year after that, strikeouts as well. And I mean, yeah, he's really got to get, because he is capable of it. He's a smart hitter. I think he's just got to be a little less aggressive. I think now he's kind of trying to kill everything and maintain that power ability, but I think he's got to kind of step back a little bit and get back to the way he was in Detroit. Good assessment, though, by the Mets of Big Shot Rob. We've got a question. It's in the field of the NFL, so we're getting a little off topic, but that's okay. We've got to answer any questions out there. And it is, I've been a suffering Raiders fan for a while now. Do you think that the moves they've made this offseason will make them contenders now? I'm not as high on the Raiders, unfortunately, and I'll get to that in a minute, but Rob is. Rob did like the moves, so I'm going to let him comfort you first before I unfortunately upset your day.
Well, Joe, I kind of think they really made a lot of smart decisions this offseason. I like adding Matt Schaub. I think a new start for him is going to be well. Matt Schaub is a smart quarterback, and I think he can return to his true form. The pick of Maurice Jones-Drew is great because Darren McFadden, Joe, this guy was a top pick a couple years ago, and he really has been a huge disappointment with going down with injuries.
Those injuries.
Jones-Drew is definitely a great addition to be with him in the backfield. Additions at wide receiver, Damian Jones, great pickup for them. The defense, Justin Tuck, I love adding him. I think the Giants made a mistake by not signing him back. He was a loyal player to New York. I think they have a bigger defense, and I think I think this year you could see the Oakland Raiders going 8-8 or 9-7. I see them. Wow. I see them as true contenders. I think they could beat the Chargers definitely this year.
Oh. I'm going sorry. Off my Chargers.
I had to go at your team, Joe. I'm sorry.
Well, like I said, I was going to let Big Shot Rob answer the question first so he could give you a little hope before, unfortunately, because, I mean, I do like some of them. I thought the Tuck move was good. James Jones, bringing in him, he's a good receiver. I love Maurice Jones-Drew. I think McFadden obviously is a great, promising running back, but his problem is he can't stay healthy. But if you put the two of them together, that's a very lethal running back combination right there. The problem with Maurice Jones-Drew is the Jaguars have been so bad with him, and they've just given him so many rushes per game. They've just kind of worn him down. So I don't know how much more he has left in the tank, but I love him out of the backfield. He's a tough little runner. He's a good player there. Matt Schaub is the question mark because I don't know what happened to Matt Schaub last year. I think everything just kind of went wrong for Houston last year. He showed the 2 seasons before that he had the potential, but is he really the guy? I think the Raiders need a quarterback who's going to be the guy for a long time. I only see Matt Schaub as a transition quarterback right now, and there's nothing I hate more than transition quarterback, delaying the inevitable. I don't think Oakland's going to take a quarterback in this draft, and we will talk about the quarterbacks in the draft in a bit, but I just think all your problems lie with the quarterback. I think until you get a quarterback in that situation, nothing is really going to be solved. But I do think that they made a lot of moves. They had to make a lot of moves. They'll definitely win a couple games, but I don't know. I just think you need a quarterback.
Yeah, this team really does, Joe. what do we have to say for their quarterback situation? Their last really good quarterback is Rich Gannon, Joe, and
Yeah.
that's going back to early 2000. And this team really, I don't know what they do with their quarterbacks. Jamarcus Russell, when they picked him, you know what? He was the number one overall pick, but he was just miserable. They need. I like the addition of Schaub. I would try to add a guy like Bortles to their team. I don't know if they're gonna do it, but I would add him. Especially, I see him as a good backup for them, a good fit.
Well, I mean, I agree. I think if they did draft one of these young quarterbacks, they would have a good transition because they would have a very effective running game because obviously, like we were talking about, Maurice Jones-Drew and Darren McFadden, that's going to be a really nice cushion for a quarterback to have because you've got two really solid running backs. I never questioned the ability of Darren McFadden, just him staying on the field. And obviously, Maurice Jones-Drew, he's proven over the years to be one of the best running backs in the NFL. So I really think that that would be good for them. But we're like I keep on saying, we're going to talk about that. But I just don't know about these young quarterbacks. But I hope that answered your question. Big Shot Rob is a lot more optimistic than I am. I do like the Raiders. I think the NFL is better when the Raiders are good, so I will be pulling for them. Not against my Chargers, of course, but I will be hoping they do a little bit better. But that's going to do it for this segment. Stay with us. A lot of Relay for Life. Go check out the event. Great stuff, and we will be right back.